Hey guys, I wanted to start my first vlog on my new and improved YouTube channel. I've had this account for many years, but I haven't really done much with it. Probably see some of the old kayaking videos on there and some other stuff. But just hanging out here at the house, playing dad. There's my second born son watching YouTube videos, Mr. Wrangler Star on YouTube. Just finished up lunch, but so the purpose of these videos is gonna kind of document my journey into being a full-time real estate investor. I started investing in real estate, flipping houses. Started getting serious about it about 2 years ago, and then in April of 2016, I started up my LLC and started actively marketing to find properties. I had wanted to be a real estate investor since the early 2000s. I bought my first house when I was 22 years old in 2007, and I was gonna, live in it and for 2 years, and we were gonna sell it and make a profit, and then I buy the next house. Well, we all know that how that turned out. Ended up selling that house in 2015 for almost what I bought it for, so I almost made all my money back. But that was a fun adventure. I was upside down for many years until the values came back. But I held out. A lot of my neighbors ended up, walking away from it and ruining their credit, and just because they thought that the values would never come back. But they'll come back. You just got to be patient. So, anyways, I read some house flipping books and watched all the shows, and then probably in about 2014, I read a couple books that completely changed my life, and any real estate investor will tell you that the one book that completely just screwed up their mind in a good way and made them who they are today was that purple book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I read that book, and then I read The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley, and quickly realized that I had a lot of the traits and attributes of a millionaire. I was tired of working the corporate grind at that point, but I was married, and for my wife's sake, she's a very risk averse person. So when you're married, I suggest that you try to get your wife on board, but do that patiently. If you have one that's risk averse like my wife, and I had to get her comfortable with me taking my money and putting it in real estate, right? She grew up in a family where they worked and saved, and then maybe one day you might have enough to retire, right? That's what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book. And I was doing that too. I've never been much of a saver. That's something I started doing, and in the last few years, I had a lot of debt, and I paid off all that debt about a couple years ago, year and a half ago, something like that. And that was a great feeling to pay off all that debt. And then I decided that I'm going to get serious about real estate investing, and I did what might scare a lot of people, and I cashed out my 401k that I had been saving. I started that 401k when I was 18 or 19 years old, because I worked in corporate since I was like 18 years old. Through college, I worked full time. Went to school at Kennesaw State University in Kennesaw. Have a degree in business management and entrepreneurship. And I'm gonna turn this volume down because it's probably a little loud. Have a degree in business management and entrepreneurship from Kennesaw State. Went to school. I worked for some big companies. I started out my career at MBNA. I was doing telemarketing there, and then did inbound balance transfer stuff. So I was on the phones. Then I moved to Chase Bank, did customer service, and then I got into fraud. Really loved fraud, and that was my knack for years in the corporate world. And then 2009, I got laid off, and that's probably the first time it really started to make me question, like, job security, right? Because in the matter of a day or two, like our biggest client that we managed we did Circuit City, and our office in Kennesaw, Georgia, was the primary support for the Circuit City credit card for Chase. Chase bought a smaller company, Finanby, First North American National Bank. Shout out to all the people I used to work with there. And at that point, when Circuit City filed for bankruptcy and was going out of business, they made the decision to close our office down because, basically, like they said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. What's the point in keeping our office if all we do is Circuit City? So lost my job there. Fortunately, found a job, worked for Verizon for about 5.5 years, worked in corporate security there at Verizon. Had a great time there. I had an excellent boss. My boss at Chase was amazing. She really helped give me my big break. And then my boss, Mike at Verizon, really was a great leader. Both him and my boss at Chase, they're just the epitome of great leaders. I've had some bad bosses along the way, and there's a big difference between being a leader and a boss. And so kind of went through that journey. While I was at Verizon, I was running a landscape maintenance business. It started with one customer, and then I started mowing more lawns, and then I went and got licensed in turf and ornamental care to do chemical treatments to people's lawns so I could offer a full package. And every day after work, I literally came home. I left the office at 4:30. I was home by 5 o'clock. I backed the truck up, hitched up the trailer with all my equipment on it, and went inside, changed clothes, took off, right back out, and I was out till dark every night of the week. I tried to do all my lawns during the week so that I still had weekends to kind of hang out and do things, right? And then sometimes if it rained, I'd have to do lawns on Saturdays and Sundays. That's just what it was. And then I would group all my chemical applications. I had a big skid sprayer. I'd load that in the back of my truck and, fill it up and go run out and do a bunch of lawns. And when I ran that business, that's when I gained the appreciation for understanding capital expenses, and you need to invest in things that will make you more money. That's when I learned to appreciate commercial grade equipment in that business, and realizing that I could buy this commercial grade lawnmower. It costs thousands of dollars, but it makes my productivity go through the roof, and I can do so much more, and it pays for itself in less than a year, right? And I would do that, and then I bought a second mower, and then I bought the sprayer, and so that's when I gained the appreciation for capital expenditures and really buying assets, right? Those are assets, and those are going to make you money. So that's my first kind of forte into that. And then again, like I said, in 2014, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Millionaire Next Door, and then I just started listening to podcasts. The first podcast I ever listened to was the Bigger Pockets podcast. That's a great podcast for beginners that want to get into it. They've got a lot of great content for that. And then I started listening to the Deal Farm podcast. Shout out to Ken Corsini. Local buddy of mine here, started listening to his podcast. This house I live in is actually the very first new construction house that Ken's company ever built. And then since then, they've built a lot more new construction homes. They're doing some developments. He's really knocked it out of the park and doing a great job. And then started listening to tons of other podcasts, Flip Nerd Podcast, Mike Hambright, shout out to you. Thanks for, your inspiration. Joe McCall, shout out to you. You really forced me to take action with your progress, not perfection. I say that to everybody now, right? Or I don't know if you said progress, not perfection. I think that's actually Tom Kroll that said that. But but Joe, you forced me to take action. And I've actually got a notification on my phone that pops up still to this day, every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it says take action, right? And the only way you're going to do something is just start doing it. So I started sending out postcards, right? Started doing all that. Ended up, getting my first deal at the end of 2016. And then I hold on a second. The little man's stuck here. You're a silly boy. Ended up doing my first deal at the end of 2016, was scared to death. Ken Corsini walked me through that deal over the phone and kind of talked me off the ledge and helped me kind of get through that. I finally sold it in December of 2016. Ended up clearing about $9,000 profit off that first deal, which is not bad. Bought my second deal in February. That was a land deal. I ended up losing money on that. I finally sold it in August. I bought a lot, and the HOA dues just ate me alive. I ended up losing probably $700 or something on it once it was all said and done. And then bought my third deal in April. In between that time, I learned a lesson and lost an earnest money deposit on another deal with a company locally. I bought it. I should have listened to myself to begin with, and I didn't. And I let the guy talk me into it. And then I should have gone with my original numbers, my gut. And I got two other guys involved to try to partner with them to do this fix and flip. And both of them kind of came back and said, hey, the ARV is this, which is exactly what my original ARV estimate was, because they're like, yeah, this other company is pulling comps from the other side of the road, and those are higher comps. You're on this side of the street. The comps are lower in this neighborhood. And so they both flipped in that area. They knew that area well, so I trusted their input. And then the rehab estimates that they came up with were right in line with what my original rehab estimate. I'm pretty good at estimating rehab costs because I've been doing remodeling projects for years. I know how much stuff costs, right? And you also have to be honest with yourself about how much stuff costs, and always factor in a little fudge factor, 10 to 20% over budget, because you're always going to go over budget. I don't think there's ever been a project that's gone on budget. So anyways, so did that, lost some money on that deal. I lost a $5,000 non-refundable earnest money deposit on that. And that hurt. But I made the right choice at that point, because if I had stayed in that deal and tried to make it work, I probably would have lost a lot more money. And what's funny is the person who ultimately bought that deal, I stopped by there one time and they were doing renovations. I have yet to see that house put back on the market yet. I haven't driven by back there in a while. I don't know if they ever finished it. Maybe they made it a rental. I don't know. But I haven't seen it hit the market again and resell. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, so let's fast forward to the end of this year. I did a lot more deals in 2017. I don't know if I'll get these closed by the end of the year, but my goal for 2017 was to do 10 deals. I've done 7 to date in 2017, and I have 3 more under contract as we speak. 2 of them are probate deals. One of them, the guy's looking for another house. With it being the holidays, he's probably not going to find another house until after the first of the year. So that's fine. Whatever. I'm probably going to either keep that one as a wholetail and just wholetail it. It literally just needs a new roof put on it because it's a 30-year-old roof. And then paint the outside. The inside's in great shape. I'm just going to throw it back on the market. Or I might do a rent-to-own on it. I still haven't decided yet. I think I can get $10,000 down as a non-refundable option fee, and then lease it out for maybe like $1,600 a month. I'm picking it up for $140. Again, it's in a good neighborhood, and it's in really great shape. So, and then let's see here. The other 2 probate deals are just dragging out forever, guys. If you do probate deals, we did one back in April, and it was fast, but he had already kind of gotten through most of the process and already had the affidavit of heirship, and it was easy, and we closed it out like within 3 weeks. But these other 2, man, they've been dragging out. Families have been fighting. Courts have misfiled paperwork. And so if you're doing probate deals, just be patient with them. They'll happen, but you just have to be patient, and you got to stay on top of it and follow up with the attorneys. I follow up with the attorney like once, twice a week just to check on the progress. They just take time. And keep in touch with the family, and be very empathetic with the family too. That's another tip I have with probate deals. Be empathetic with them. Let them know, I'm so sorry that you're having to go through all this. Like, I'll help you whatever I can do, right? I think once these deals are closed, I'll buy them like a nice gift card to their favorite restaurant so they can go out, just because that's a stressful process for people to go through a probate deal. It's really stressful, and I really feel for them. That's why you should have a will. You should have a will. which reminds me, we need to go get ours witnessed and signed because we just had them redone recently because we just had our second child, so we've updated the will with him on it. So I got to get on that. So anyways, I'll say that I hit my goals for this year. We may not close these deals by the end of the year. They'll probably end up happening in January. But hit my deals for this year, 2017. So this is why I want to start this podcast. Yesterday on Friday, I put in my notice at my corporate job, and I am leaving the corporate world forever, and I'm so excited. My brain's been checked out of the corporate job for years. I'm just not into the corporate life anymore. I just see things differently now since I've read all these books and been doing deals and I associate with these investors. I joined an awesome mastermind, Investor Fuel. I was lucky enough to get invited to that. I'm kind of a newbie investor. Most of those guys in there are veterans doing hundreds of deals a year. Some of them have done thousands in their lifetime. But, you're the average of the 5 people you associate with. And I'm associated myself by joining this mastermind with some top-level dudes. And it's like a family, a brotherhood, and it's awesome. And I highly recommend everyone to find a mastermind and spend the money. They're expensive, but it's worth every penny to be a member of a mastermind. And you build lifetime friendships with these people, and they want you to succeed, and they're going to hold you accountable in a tough way, but they want you to succeed, right? And when I mentioned that I quit my job, they're so excited for me. Everyone's excited, and I'm excited. I can't wait. My last day is going to be January 12th. I gave him basically a 4-week notice so that he could find somebody to backfill my position. I have a very unique position on what I do at my company. Very unique skill set, so it's going to take some time to find the right person to fill that position. So I'm going to give my boss that time to fill that position. And so I wanted to kind of do this first vlog to document my journey into being a full-time real estate investor. So at January 12th is my last day in the corporate world. I'm going full-time next year. I talked to my ad manager the other day, and we're gonna go full out. Hey, buddy. Oh, my son's home.
Look at this.
Oh, that's cool. All right, well, anyway, all right, I'll finish up the video here. Sorry about that. My wife and son came home. So anyways, the whole point of that was just to document my journey. And by the way, I'm out here getting ready to go play lumberjack. If you're running a chainsaw, you should always wear chaps. You don't want to cut through your leg. I've got getting the chainsaw ready here. I got to cut up some trees that fell down, branches that fell down in the snowstorm that we had last weekend. And so anyways, I wanted to kind of just create this so that everybody could kind of follow along my journey. And if you're wanting to make that dive and quit your corporate job and go into real estate investing full time, I hope that I inspire you. I had a lot of guys who inspired me who did the same thing, and it's nice to have someone else to kind of follow along your journey, and you should always have people to help support you and ask questions and so on and so forth. So I'll do some more videos later as I kind of document the journey, and we'll kind of get more into nitty-gritty about different deals I'm doing and that sort of thing. But for now, I just wanted to kind of get started and introduce myself. I don't know if I ever said my name. I'm Brad Woodall is my name, and I am in the Atlanta market. I live in North Atlanta, way north, in Ball Ground, Georgia, which is probably 40 miles north of Atlanta, up heading towards the mountains of 575. I've enjoy it up here. I used to live kind of down in Cobb County and grew up down there, but I like living out. I've got 2 acres of land here, but we're in a subdivision. We got a neighbor right there. We've got 2 acres of land here for our house, mostly woods, and I love it. It's quiet up here, and really enjoy living up on this part of town. So anyways, y'all have a wonderful day, and tune in and subscribe, and I'll be doing more of these videos as I document my journey even further. But y'all have a great day and enjoy your Saturday. Thanks.